The midday heat in Machikos was unforgiving, but the kitchen of St. Jude's High School was a furnace. Kevin wiped his forehead with a rag that had once been white, sighing the heavy, rattling sigh of a man who considered standing up to be a cardio workout. He was a large man, spilling over his stool like rising dough, with a belly that served as a convenient shelf for his tasting spoon.
Chef.
The rice is burning, a terrified student helper squeaked. Let it burn, Kajana, Kevin grunted, not opening his eyes. It adds a smoky flavor. Kevin was, without a doubt, the laziest man in Kenya. He was also a witch. And right now he was a man in love. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, glass vial filled with a shimmering, viscous green liquid. Tears of the Hypnotic Bullfrog. He had spent 3 nights in the swamps of Naivasha catching the beast, singing its sad lullabies until it wept. He uncorked the vial and tipped 3 drops into the massive vat of burning rice. For Amina, he whispered. Amina was his sunshine. She was brilliant, beautiful, and accepted into the University of Nairobi to study medicine. But the fees were astronomical. Kevin's salary as a cook barely covered his rent, and his side business, a dusty coffin shop in the neighboring town of Thika, hadn't seen a customer in months. People in Thika were stubbornly healthy. The green drops sizzled. A sweet, intoxicating aroma overpowered the smell of burnt rice. The lunch bell rang. The stampede began. The magic of the hypnotic bullfrog was specific. It didn't just make people fall in love. It made them agreeable. It turned the consumer into a nodding, smiling, compliant zombie who would do anything to please the chef. As the students of St. Jude's shoveled the smoky rice into their mouths, the cafeteria went silent. Then, a collective sigh of adoration swept through the room. Chef Kevin, the head boy announced, his eyes glazed over. This rice, it tastes like a mother's hug. Kevin waddled to the serving window, leaning his elbows on the counter. I try, boys. I try. But my heart is heavy. The entire football team dropped their forks. Why, chef?
Who has hurt you?
Kevin put on his best tragic face. It is my shop. My little carpentry shop in Thika. I make beautiful wooden boxes, final resting places, but nobody buys them. I fear I will starve. And then who will cook for you? Panic ensued. A world without Kevin's rice? Impossible. We will help, shouted a girl from the debate club. My grandfather is old. He coughs sometimes. I will tell my father to buy a coffin today, just in case. My uncle drives a boda, shouted another. He needs one on standby. Kevin smiled, a slow, lazy stretching of his lips. You are too kind. I have a student special discount running this week. Tell your parents. Kevin's caskets, comfort for eternity. The plan worked better than Kevin could have dreamed. The spell made the students relentless. They went home on weekends and nagged their wealthy parents with an intensity that only possessed teenagers could muster. They cried. They refused to eat. They threw tantrums until their parents drove to Thika and bought Kevin's overpriced mahogany coffins just to get some peace. Sales skyrocketed. Kevin sat in his shop on weekends, wearing a fake beard and a somber suit, collecting cash. He sold coffins to people who didn't need them. One rich farmer bought 3, planning to use them as planters for his strawberries. Every Monday, Kevin deposited the money into Amina's account. Study hard, my love, he texted her. The business is booming. God is good. For 6 months, Kevin lived the dream. He cooked magic rice, napped in the pantry, and watched his bank account grow. He was fat, rich, and loved. Then came the end of the semester. Kevin was in the kitchen, preparing his masterpiece, chicken curry of absolute devotion, when the kitchen doors swung open. It wasn't a student. It was a woman. She wore a sharp navy blue suit, heels that clicked with authority, and she held a clipboard. Kevin froze. It was Amina. But she wasn't supposed to be here. She was supposed to be in Nairobi, dissecting frogs, not visiting the man who milked them. Amina? Kevin stammered, hiding the vial of tears behind his back. My love. What a surprise. Did you come to see the school? Amina didn't smile. She walked around the kitchen, inspecting the pots. She looked different. Harder. Sharper. Hello, Kevin, she said, her voice cool. I'm not here for a visit. I'm here on official business. Official? But you are a student. I was, Amina said. But I accelerated my program. You see, Kevin, I didn't enroll in medicine. Kevin blinked. You didn't? No. She stopped in front of the bubbling curry pot and sniffed it. She recoiled slightly. I enrolled in forensic economics and fraud detection. Kevin's knees, already weak from carrying his weight, turned to jelly. Amina turned to face him, her eyes flashing. We've been tracking a bizarre economic anomaly in Thika. A sudden, 400% spike in coffin sales among healthy demographics. It made no sense. Why were perfectly healthy families buying caskets? She pulled a tablet from her bag. We interviewed the buyers. They all said their children insisted on it. They described the children as being in a trance-like state of emotional distress. She stepped closer to Kevin. Then, we analyzed the common denominator. All the children go to St. Jude's. All the children eat your food. Kevin backed up until he hit the stove. Amina, baby, I did it for you. For the tuition. Amina reached out and snatched the vial from behind his back. She held it up to the light. Hypnotic Bullfrog, she identified it instantly. Class B illegal substance. Kevin, do you know what the side effects of long-term exposure are? Kevin shook his head, sweating profusely. It causes the consumer to develop an uncontrollable urge to confess, she said. Kevin looked at the serving window. The lunch bell rang. The students poured in. But they didn't look happy today. They looked anxious. The head boy walked up to the window.
He didn't ask for rice.
He looked at Amina, then at Kevin, and his eyes widened. Chef, the head boy blurted out, I cheated on my math test. And I stole my father's credit card to buy that coffin. And I actually hate your rice. It's just so salty, but I couldn't stop eating it. Behind him, a girl started screaming. I have a secret boyfriend. And I think the coffin my dad bought is ugly. Chaos erupted. Hundreds of students began shouting their darkest secrets at the top of their lungs. The cafeteria became a cacophony of confessed sins. Amina turned to face him. Amina looked at Kevin, a mixture of disappointment and amusement on her face. You're under arrest, Kevin, she said, pulling a pair of handcuffs from her designer purse. Not just for the witchcraft, but for the tax evasion on the coffins. Can we make a deal? Kevin begged, holding out his hands. I have a lot of money left. Amina clicked the cuffs onto his wrists. Keep it, she whispered, leaning into his ear. You'll need it. I hear the food in prison is terrible. You might want to buy some spices. As she marched him out of the kitchen, Kevin looked back at his vat of burning rice. At least, he muttered to himself, I don't have to do the dishes.